Am I the asshole for refusing to change my hairstyle? Some background. I'm a sophomore in high school, and my mom is a single mom. My father was incredibly abusive to her, to the point there are final restraining orders in place for the both of us. We left him when I was very young, so I don't remember much about him, but I've heard many stories about how terrible he is. This morning, I put my hair in one of those half-up hairstyles. In the past, my mom always insisted on me having a ponytail, but I wanted some variety. Not a big deal, right? Apparently not. As soon as mom saw me, she told me I was ugly, looked homeless, and demanded I switch back to the ponytail. I was tired of her dictating my appearance and told her I wouldn't. It's my hair, after all. She started screaming at me, but I kept my foot down, telling her I can do what I want with my appearance and she's being overdramatic. At one point she got so heated that she stormed out of the house. I eventually changed my hair just so we could leave. We're now in the car, and I tell her that later on I wanted to discuss this like civil people. She reacted by screeching at me about how she's already dealt with so much trauma, and I have no right to abuse her and add on to it. This infuriated me. She's refusing to have any civil discussion whatsoever, and she's guilt-tripping me. Our bickering led to me demanding an apology from her. She didn't like that, so she dropped the bomb. She told me she will call her lawyer and I'll be sent to my father. See, she does this when she's especially mad. I've asked her many times to stop, but clearly she never has. She once took it so far she drove us to the police station and told me to get out. I didn't. I know by now it's an empty threat, but it still terrifies me. At school, I scheduled an appointment with a guidance counselor and vented to him. He was nice but in my opinion way too lenient towards my mom. He kept saying we say things we don't mean when we're upset. There is a world of a difference between, I'm gonna pull my hair out, and, I'm going to send you to your very abusive father for changing your hairstyle. After the appointment, I left and did classes as usual. During lunch my mom texted me saying the guidance counselor called her and she wants to discuss with me what happened later. I responded by saying that's what I want, but I hope she knows she overstepped a line and I'm still scared of her. I still am as I'm writing this. I still tear up whenever I think about what went down. She completely ignores this and says we need to respect each other's opinions. She also said what happened was nothing serious, which I felt was incredibly invalidating. Overall, she showed no signs of remorse and implied that we were equally wrong in this situation. She's still at work. I think I'm in the right, but I feel like an idiot because I know I could have avoided all of this by just complying. She also had seemed genuinely distressed, which makes me feel a bit guilty. Am I the asshole? Edit. To clarify, 1. Her fussing over my hair has nothing to do with her trauma. She just wants to control my appearance. And 2. There's evidence she was abused by my father, she didn't lie to me about that. Update. She's being awfully normal. Saying I can do whatever I want with my hair as long as I give a heads up. It's making me uneasy. She's acting so differently from this morning it's jarring. However, she said outright we each take 50-50 blame for what happened, which, WTF. This kind of thing happens often. She treats me poorly, refuses to acknowledge she FCKED up, we move on as if nothing happened. Repeat cycle. Update 2. Sigh. We talked. Apparently I was in the wrong for not giving her a heads up about my hairstyle and not respecting her opinion. Okay, sure. I apologized for that. She tried to say she only gives the father threat when she doesn't know what else to do, and I shut her down immediately, demanding she'll never give that threat again. She agreed, but she's promised this before, so I'm not sure how it'll hold up going forward. She told me she acted so poorly because she had a mental breakdown due to trauma. I honestly have no idea what I could have done to trigger her. She's going to have these mental breakdowns in the future, and I have to accept that. IDK what to think about that. IDK what to think about any of this, to be honest. At least she owned up to it to an extent, she never said sorry though. Update 3, edit. No, I don't think she's going to get help. For either of us. She simply acknowledged she's very capable of treating me poorly because of her trauma but doesn't seem to want to better herself. She's complacent. I wish she wasn't. We attended therapy years ago but clearly it wasn't enough. So your mom's idea of dealing with trauma is to treat you badly and do the same thing to you her partner did to her? Not the asshole. If I were you I'd shave half my head and dye the rest of it purple. Not the asshole. This is emotional abuse. Good on you for involving another adult. Good luck. Not the asshole. Your mother left an abusive relationship. She was worried and scared enough that she got restraining orders for the both of you. To threaten to send you to him is abuse. It might not be physical, but it's mental and emotional. And that can be far more dangerous than being hit. Not the asshole. Your father abused her and now she's abusing you. This is not normal behavior in any way, shape or form. You need help and so does she. Not the asshole at all. Your mom is abusing you mentally and emotionally. She is also being controlling. Just because she was abused doesn't mean she is allowed to take it out on you. My father abused me and I don't do the same to my kids. She needs to realize that abusing someone else doesn't make her trauma go away, and her being abused is no excuse to abuse someone else. Your mother is actively abusing you. She literally cannot send you to your father's. That's what the restraining order is for. I hope you can find an adult you trust who will take this seriously. Not the asshole. Let her know that respecting opinions is a two-way street, so as soon as she respects your opinion on your hair, you will respect her opinions. Not the asshole. Your mom is wrong. Disagreeing with her about a hairstyle does not add to her trauma. It is not okay for her to threaten to leave you with a man who you both have restraining orders against. Her behavior is abusive and absolutely not okay. You did the right thing by speaking with the guidance counselor. You are brave. Do not feel bad about the choices you made. I hope with intervention from other adults, your mom can be made to understand that she cannot take out her trauma on her child. Would I be the asshole if I don't double my cleaning lady's pay? Disclaimer. Throwaway account. Long-time lurker, first-time poster. English is my second language, but I'm pretty fluent. Not in the US. What I'm asking for is not legal advice because my brother is a lawyer and he's told me I'm in the clear. It's a moral conundrum. I have a disability that prevents me from cleaning my house. I physically cannot reach most of the places well enough to dust and sweep. I have a relatively small and uncluttered apartment, so I can move about freely in my wheelchair. So it takes my cleaning lady at most 30 minutes to clean everything, including sweeping, dusting, cleaning my bathroom. When I first hired her 6 months ago, I was living with my parents before that. We decided the pay based on the local minimum wage, calculated for an hour of work. Around 3 months ago, my town and the nearby towns had to go into a curfew state due to rising number of cases. Movement was restricted. I have a compromised immunity, so I asked my cleaning lady to not come in for 2 weeks because I wanted to limit contact. But I couldn't clean up as much, so I asked her to come in 3 times a week instead of 6 times. I don't call her on Sundays to give her a break. We did this for 2 months. I paid her the same amount instead of reducing the original amount to half. Now, with things getting better, I have asked her to resume coming in 6 times a day again. She said she would do that, but only if I double her pay, since what I am paying her right now is for 3 days a week. I told her, no, I am paying you 6 days' salary for working 3 days, and now I am asking you to resume working 6 days. She said that because I have been paying her that amount for 3 days of work, it has become the expected salary for 3 days of work, and if I want her to work 6 days again, I should pay her double the amount. I spoke with my brother and he said as per local labor laws, I'm in the clear because the legitimate expectation of earnings only sets in at the 6-month mark. But I feel horrible for not agreeing to pay because it's possible she picked up another part-time work on the 3 days that she would have to leave if she works for me again and lose out on earnings. It's been difficult for everyone in the pandemic, including me, especially since my country does not have any sort of disability allowance and I only got a low-paying job 6 months ago. She's coming again tomorrow to clean up, which is when we will discuss this again. So would I be the asshole if I refuse to double her pay? Editing to add. I've seen this being raised in quite a few comments, so I'll clarify a few points. Minimum wage here is very different from US. Please don't project that onto me. It's an actual living wage that is not a fixed rate but calculated as per an individual's cost of living, their skills and expertise, no of dependents, stuff like that. It does not apply to private employers, but our local gov encourages private employers to use this system, and they have this online portal that helps us calculate the wage rate. I also make minimum wage. She has no costs for cleaning. I buy the cleaning supplies, she doesn't wear PPEs or anything, and I am the one who keeps giving her masks and sanitizers for her own use because she keeps forgetting them and I don't want to take any risks. It takes her 2 minutes walking to come over, so she doesn't have any transport costs. Also, just wanted to mention that I'm a woman. My brother isn't a lawyer, but he works in the local counselor's office and he knows about the wage system because he works with the team that came up with the wage system. Nah. She's selling a service. She has every right to set whatever price she feels is appropriate, and the market will either bear it or not. You're the market. You have every right to decide if the price you're being asked to pay is worth the service you receive. There are no assholes here, this is how things are supposed to work. Wow, no good deed goes unpunished. You have her work and maintain her pay, and the thanks you get is greed. Not the asshole. I would say not the asshole, mostly because you continued paying her for 6 days of work even when she was working 3 days. Just have a proper conversation with her saying, "Hey, this was our agreement and I cannot pay more than this at the moment. Is this something you're willing to continue with? If she's not, I think it will be best if you find another cleaning lady." Not the asshole. You could have cut her pay from 6 days to 3, and you didn't, which is generous enough. Not the asshole, she got to do less work for a while and now that you are asking her to go back to regular times she wants double pay. I'd personally find someone new. Not the asshole. You kept her on the same price throughout it all, no matter if it was 6 days or 3 days. Explain to her that you were giving her money to still cover the 3 days you asked her not to come, as to not inconvenience her financially and still hold your 6-day-a-week spot. But, you also need to understand she can refuse this. In that case it will be up to you to find someone else to clean for you. Nah. As she isn't your employee, I'm assuming. She is free to change her prices for the service. Likewise, you are free to decline. The easy solution here, if she isn't prepared to go back to her original pay, is thank her for her service and say you'll find a new cleaner. Nah. If you're not going to pay what she wants, be prepared to find a new cleaning lady. Am I the asshole for telling my sister-in-law I'm not her late sister and she needs to see a therapist? My 19F sister-in-law's 27 little sister passed away 3 years ago. Though she said she already grieved her death, I think otherwise. She likes to compare anything I do to what her sister did. And sure, 1 or 2 things I'm sure we did alike, but she's taken as far as comparing almost everything I do. The subjects I took in high school, sports I've played, colors I like, the way I decorate my room, even snacks, food I like, and the way I eat. I've told her, as nicely as I can, if she could let up comparing me to her late sister all the time because it sort of weirded me out. She did not. When she still continued to do it, I talked to my sister, her wife, and told her to ask her to stop. She didn't. Everyone calls me overdramatic and said I should let her continue as she clearly sees me as a little sister and it's normal behavior. She's been a lot worse lately since my boyfriend has been over more. She'll make comments like, "My parents would have never allowed my sister to have a boyfriend in her room or spend the night," or, "You're lucky, boyfriend isn't around me or I'd kick him out." Yesterday I asked my mom if my boyfriend could stay for dinner, which usually means he'll spend the night too, and she said yeah. Sister-in-law overheard and got mad. She was making snarky comments the rest of breakfast. And boyfriend spends way too much time together, and I'm surprised you guys allow her to have boys in her room, you don't know what they're up to in there. She then said she'd stay home instead of going out to keep an eye on my boyfriend, and cause we'd be home alone. I didn't think much of it and went about my day. When my boyfriend did come over, we went to my room to hang out. Not even 10 minutes later she started barging and trying to tell me to wash dishes, asking me random questions, and tried to invite herself to hang with us. Eventually I locked my door because I got annoyed and shit hit the fan from there. When she tried to come in once again and realized it was locked, she started screaming and banging on the door, yelling at me to open it. When I did, she started yelling at me how her sister wouldn't even be allowed to lock her bedroom door, so I wasn't allowed to. That's when I had enough. I called her delusional and told her I'm not her late sister and she needed to see a therapist because she needs help. She told my parents what I said and they want me to apologize because it's just her big sister instincts kicking in. My sister also wants me to apologize because what I said was heartless. I've refused and they think I'm an insensitive asshole for it. Now I feel like what I said was probably in the asshole territory and I might have been in the wrong. Am I the asshole here? Is it common to get mixed answers? Like a lot of comments are saying not the asshole, but in private messages I'm being told you're the asshole? I'm confused. I'm also being told I was harsh and should apologize, along with being told my reaction was fine and I don't owe an apology. I'm so confused, lol. Do the private messages even count? Maybe they're trolls IDK. I keep commenting to people but I realize not everyone is going to see my replies. I did move out and had to move back because my apartment complex burned down. I am back on the road to moving out and hope to by December. I know I need to get away and I'm trying. Not the asshole. She does need to see a therapist. Not the asshole. That's really messed up of her and you're correct, she does need some therapy or counseling. It doesn't sound like anyone is giving her a neutral perspective here and just enabling her to project her late sister on you. Is there anyone in your corner, Op? A relative or trusted authority figure? This sounds like a lot to go through alone, and I feel like you could use some sensible backup, because you're definitely not out of line here. Not the asshole. She way overstepped her boundaries and she does need therapy. NTA. She's trying to make you a dead person. That's wrong. Flat out tell your parents and sister that you are sorry that she lost her sister, but you aren't her and will never be who she thinks you need to be. You need to be you and true to you. AITA. Tell them you have parents and you'd appreciate no more parents because you love the ones you have. Not the asshole. This woman is problematic and you are the only one with the balls to make it known to her, seems like. You're big enough to establish all the boundaries you want and let nobody make you uncomfortable so they feel comfortable. That being said, I'm sure she's in a sea of pain over her dead sister. Let everybody know once that she needs to go through therapy to handle the situation and you're not in charge of her feelings but only your own, and that they should respect how you feel about this too. Not the asshole. While you probably could have been nicer about it, you were pushed. You've spoken about it before and was ignored. You're right too, her behavior isn't healthy. Not the asshole, she is stepping far out of her lane to parent you. Not the asshole. Please continue to communicate to the family that she needs help. This is transference and it's not healthy in this case. Am I the asshole for kicking my sister, her boyfriend and her kids out of my house? I'll start by saying this. Ever since I was a kid, my sister has always been the favorite and had everything she wanted. She wants something, she gets it. I on the other hand had to work extremely hard to get my parents' attention. She never did anything, not even help me clean when my parents would tell us to clean. I did so much house chores and never received any attention. Now years later I turn 18 and I graduate and get a job. My mom, with 4 more siblings, says I can stay at home if I want and I took her offer to save money and I pay her $200 a month for rent. My sister still got things handed to her. At the time I didn't have a car and I just got my license as my sister already had a permit of her own and always takes the shared minivan she used to go hang out with friends or go to parties. She would always ask me for extra money and I'd give it to her as long as she paid me back. $1,500 later she still have never paid me back. Now a few years later I'm 21 and she's 18 and has a kid. And her boyfriend are living with us. And they sucked at paying rent and I ended up having my rent increased by my mom. 2 years later I've had it and I was able to buy a house at 23. I worked hard to save and to keep my credit good. So then I was 23 with my own home, my own car, and a good stable job. A few months later she, then 21, asks to move in with me with her BF, and her 2 kids. She says she and her boyfriend promises to pay rent and for some reason I agreed. Because I felt guilty and I'm very close to her kids. I love them to death. Months pass by and almost every day her and her boyfriend is arguing. They don't clean after themselves, they're always taking up all of the parking which causes me to park on the neighbor's parking and I brought it to their attention 4 times. And their TV is always loud when I'm trying to sleep. Sister still doesn't have a job and the boyfriend works a lot less because of COVID. I paid for all the utilities and plus my mortgage and my bank balance is running lower every month. I've had it and the next day I told her and her boyfriend they have 1 month to leave. Luckily right before they moved in I made them sign a contract I made stating terms and agreements. I told them I've had enough and if they don't leave I will take legal action to have them forcibly removed. I feel horrible for their kids, 1 and 2, but I can't go on having them ruin my days in my own I worked so hard for. She says I'm fucked up for doing this to them. The boyfriend haven't said anything about it but I think he understands. I hate doing this to my own family but I can't do this anymore. Am I the asshole for kicking her out with her kids? And she made it clear she doesn't want to live with our mom because our siblings are loud and messy. Edit. After reading all the comments I thank every single one of you. I don't feel as guilty anymore and I feel like I'm making the right choice. We talked, more like argued, about it and she got so angry that she's already moving her stuff out to live with our mom. She made a couple attempts to make me feel guilty but I ignored her. Seems like she'll be moving out a lot sooner than I expected and I can feel weight lifted off my shoulders. Not the asshole. You've put up with this for months and now you're done. It was something worth trying but not a life commitment. You bought the house and you should be able to enjoy it. That's not happening since you are outnumbered 4-1. Stick to your 1 month and you gotta go. Expect some bargaining and some fury, but if you are firm, they will find another place and you can have your privacy back. Not the asshole. Your sister doesn't get to move into your home and essentially make it unlivable for you. She defaulted on the rent while she stayed with your mum countless times, forcing you to foot the bill, and now she does so again. Honestly, you did the right thing by kicking them out. If you didn't take any action, it would have been you getting evicted as well. Not that your sister would ever have cared, honestly. Not the asshole at all. You're a good person and good people get taken advantage of, which is exactly what your sister is doing. Good for you for making them sign something. Stand your ground and get them out of your house. If anyone says anything about it, tell them that they can take them in if they're so concerned. Not the asshole. It sounds like you've worked your ass off to have everything you do in a home at 23? That's something you should shout from the rooftops. That's incredibly difficult, and you did that on your own. I hope your parents tell you how proud they are of you, because I'm a stranger and I am. As for your sister, you've spent too many years helping. Ultimately, her life isn't your problem. It sucks when this happens with family, but you cannot let her ruin everything you've worked so hard for. Not the asshole. She's a moocher. If she's grown up enough to have kids, then she's grown enough to house them herself. Not the asshole. Just because their family doesn't change, they are taking advantage and mooching. Your house, your boundaries. Not the asshole. Your sister needs to learn what it's like to work for something and not have everything handed to her. Sounds like the siblings learned the loud and messy from her. Not the asshole. You have to do what you have to do. You don't owe your sibling anything if they're going to be insufferable. If they didn't leave your mother's house on bad terms, they can just move in there and be just fine.